Hey guys, what's up? I am back. Day 4 of the NFL Combine has completely wrapped up. Recording this on Monday because I wanted to wait for the bench press numbers to get in. That's actually let's look at that first. The bench press here for the offensive line. But this is the last Combine video for this year, so let's wrap it up here. Bench press. Honestly, I mean, nobody jumped off the page for the bench press, but we had some good numbers here. Trey Zune, 33 reps. Blake Miller, 32. Connor Lew, 31. I was a bit disappointed that Garrett DiGiorgio only did 24. He's a bigger guy, so I was expecting him to crank out a bit more than that. Joshua Braun is a little lower than I was hoping for, but really, honestly, nothing that popped off the page here for me. I mean, good. The guys in the 30s here, good reps, but overall, nothing that stands out too much. But this day 4 of the combine felt like a lot of the other days. Just quite a bit of winners, no real losers. Maybe one or two here and there. So let's go through here the offensive line participants here. And offensive line in particular, you really want to go through each prospect because it's really about getting the measurements. Measurements are probably the most important for offensive line. At least at the combine, that's what you're looking for more than the actual testing numbers. So that's really what we're going to be focusing on. We'll take a quick look at the actual numbers, like 40-yard dash. Logan Jones, very, very fast. This was awesome, but you want to look at the 10-yard split. Parker Brailsford, fantastic. Monroe Freeling, a 1.71 for him. That is outstanding. Fano, a 1.72. Fano is tough because of his measurements, which we're going to get to later. Just a bit disappointing from him. But a really fast time. We knew he was super athletic, and he showed it here. Sam Hesht, 1.73. All these guys here in this 1.7 range, very, very good. 10-yard split, 1.75 and below, very, very good. Parker Brailsford, he is very agile. Logan Jones, for running a 4.9 flat, I wanted his 10-yard split to be a little bit better than this, but it's still very good. Some guys that not so good. Garrett DiGiorgio, I think, just had a pretty bad combine overall. His arms measured in at 32 and a half inches, which at his size, 6'7", 320. I was definitely expecting him to have longer arms. Armaj Reed Adams, he was a bit disappointing. At his size, I guess it's all right. Cage Casey is someone I was really expecting to fly. He did not. Let's go back to the 40 here. Armaj Reed Adams, 5'2", at his size, I could have been better. One guy who just, oh my goodness, Markel Bell, 5'3", with a 1.84 10-yard split. He is 6'9", 346 pounds, 36 and a half inch arms. I mean, his hands are tiny for that frame, but oh my goodness. Running at this speed is unbelievable for his size. He is a clear winner of the day here. Measured in phenomenally, and just, oh my goodness. Really, really fast for that size. So let's go to the participants page. Let's go through all of the measurements, what I saw from the on-field drills. I did notice Monroe Freeling is one I will point out. He measured really well. Over 34 and a half inch arms, 6'7", 315, great hand size. His measurements are phenomenal. His 40-yard dash and 10-yard split, phenomenal. Good vertical. He did have some issues with the drills, which I noticed. I know in the mirror drill and in 2 or 3 different on-field drills, he slipped multiple times. I watched him slip at least 3 times, and he had to go back to the back of the line and try it again. So I don't know if it was the turf, but he slipped more than anyone else, which was interesting. So his footwork, his footing might be a bit of a concern just because he was slipping so much. So like, I can say it's because of the turf, but there's a good chance that he goes to an NFL team that plays on turf. So that could have a significant impact. But overall, he boosted his stock with his size and his speed. He absolutely boosted himself up. I think he's guaranteed to go in the first round at this point. Francis Maui-Noa, he measured in pretty well, 33 and a quarter inch arms, good on the height. I think he will absolutely be able to play everywhere on the offensive line. He didn't do any of the drills, but he measured in well. I think he could play tackle or guard at the NFL level. Caden Proctor is another guy who measured in well, 6'7", 350, and running this time at his size, I think is very, very good. 6'7", 350. That is a good time for him. 33 and a half inch arms. He did pretty good. And I noticed some of the drills he looked good. Spencer Fano, he's fast. He's really fast, and he did look good in the drills, but his arm length is concerning. 32, like barely over 32 inch arms. That's really, really tough. And being at his size, 6'5" and a half, 311, I don't know if he has necessarily the weight. I mean, he has the frame to put on more weight, especially with his athleticism, but I don't know if he's going to slide into guard. He did have some center reps at the combine. He was doing some snaps towards the end of it, so that's interesting. Maybe teams are going to look to move him into center, but a guy that was being looked at as primarily a tackle, now there's going to be some serious concerns here. Tested well and looked good in the drills, but this arm length is a concern at the next level. Ola Ione, I think he measured out really well for a guy that's projected to go to center, having close to 33 inch arms at this size. I think he did really well. Not much else to say about that. I'm just happy how he measured. Chase Besantis, he is going to move inside at the NFL level. At his size, I would have loved to see him get sub 5 second 40-yard dash. That would have been awesome to see, but the 10-yard split isn't bad at all. The 10-yard split is not bad. 29 bench press reps is good. He does have shorter arms, so you would expect him to get a little bit more there. But overall, I thought Chase Besantis had a good day. Caleb Lamu, he's another guy that I think boosted his stock at the combine. 33 and a half inch arms, 6'6", 313. He ran a sub 5 second 40 with a 174 10-yard split. That's very, very good. And he looked good in the drills. Emmanuel Pregnon, this is a guy. See, a lot of these guys I think just boosted their stock. There aren't many guys that I saw other than the like smaller school guys that might have lowered their stock, but they didn't really have a stock to begin with. But really, really good measurements from Pregnon here. 33 and a half inch arms and 11 inch hands. And he's projected at guard. He is a guard. I would have been happier if he could run a little bit faster at the 40 at his size. So there is a lack of athleticism, at least like explosiveness there. He does have a very good vertical though. So it's interesting to compare with the like almost lack of speed there and agility. But then he does have explosiveness here in the vert, but he measured out very, very well. I think he's firmly a second round pick at this point, but he could sneak into the back end of the first with those measurements. Very good. Max, how do we say this last name? Iheanacho. I believe that's how you pronounce it. If that's not how it's pronounced, let me know. But he had a really good day as well. Almost 34-inch arms. At 6'6", 320, he's running a 4.91 and a 1.73 10-yard split. That is tremendous. And he cranked out 25 reps with those 34-inch arms. Remember, the longer the arms you have, the harder it is to do more reps because you have to go further down and extend all the way. So the longer arms you are, the more impressive it is how many reps you do. But he ran really, really fast. And at that size, I think he's also, just like Pregnon, he is firmly a second-round pick at this point. I think teams are going to jump all over him in the second round. Connor Lew, not much to say about him. You know, he did the bench press and looked good there, but he is dealing with the injury that ended his season. So he's not going to be able to do any of the on-field drills. Measurements are about what you expected. Nothing spectacular, but the bench press was good. Nothing more to say about Connor Lew. Blake Miller is a guy that I think boosted his stock as well. Over 34-inch arms at 6'7", 317. Ran about a 5-second 40, which isn't bad for him, but the 10-yard split is really good at 175. Really good in the bench press reps as well. So he is a very athletic guy. 32-inch vert is also very good. And a 9.5 broad. Overall, he is an athlete. He is a really athletic guy. I like Blake Miller quite a bit. I think he is also a guy that could go in the second round as a right tackle in to some tackle needy teams. And as I'm recording this, the Texans have traded away Titus Howard and Juice Scruggs today. So I think the Texans are a team that might invest in like 4 offensive linemen in the draft. And so this offensive line group having such a good day is definitely attributing to that. But really good measurements here for him and really good athleticism for a guy of his size. Cage Casey, I talked about him briefly. Just a little bit disappointed. I wanted faster from him. At 6'6", 310, he's pretty light out at tackle, and he's running a 185 with a 5.2 flat 40-yard dash. I was disappointed. I think he's one of the guys that might have dropped a little bit. He's a guy that's probably late day 2. He could have dropped his stock a little bit here, but he's a guy I really like. I really like the film from Cage Casey. I think he could project inside, especially with this arm length sub 33 inches. I don't think he'd have a huge problem moving inside. It's just the lack of speed here. What are you going to get out of him moving inside? I don't really know. So I was a bit disappointed. I thought he would be faster. Keelan Rutledge, on the other hand, this is a guy I was very impressed with. He looked great in the drills. And I will also mention, I was looking into his medical history yesterday, and I didn't realize, it's crazy how he was able to play a full season last year and play as well as he did. In 2024, he was in a major car accident, had multiple surgeries, and they nearly amputated his leg. He was nearly on one leg for the rest of his life. And he came back a year later and played a full season for Georgia Tech and played incredibly well. This guy is unbelievable. Knowing that, he is firmly a second-round pick for me. Because, that is a year removed from major surgeries, nearly having his leg amputated, and he performed the way he did. Unbelievable. And the fact that he's able to run a 5.05 40, a 1.81 10-yard split, a very explosive vertical here. This is a super athletic guy. He might be the best right guard in the class over Jennings Dunker. He is very, very athletic. Big day for Keelan Rutledge. He looked great out there. He looked really great. I think he's one of the biggest winners of the day. Sam Hesht, another guy, very fast, very smooth. Whoops, it scrolled all the way down. In the 10-yard split, so very explosive here, and good. He doesn't have that top-end speed. You don't need that from a center. You don't need top-end speed. He runs a 5.1 flat. His jumps were a little, you'd want more, an 8.5 and a 28-inch vert. Not super great, but the 10-yard split is nice. The 10-yard split is very nice. A 1.73 is fast. It is explosive. Sub 32-inch arms, but that's okay. He is a center. He's at 6'4", 300. I think he looked okay out there. I didn't notice anything special from him, but he is a guy that really, I think he thrives because of his football knowledge. I think he's probably the most knowledgeable center in the class. His football IQ is unbelievable. And so that's where he really makes his money there. Trey Zune, someone converting from tackle, and he's projected to move into center here. And you can see why. 32.5-inch arms. He's not going to stick at tackle at that size. 6'6", 312. All he did here is the bench press, which 33 reps is really good. Does have some shorter arms, but overall, he's a really good guy. I think he's a really good developmental player. If you take him in the third or the fourth, give him a year to sit, I think he could be a really, really good center in the league. Brian Parker II, another guy that I think could be a good center. Another guy that I like at right guard as well. He's someone I've talked about for the Seahawks at right guard in quite a few mock drafts. Almost 33-inch arms, which is very good for him. 5'14", 40-yard dash. I wanted a bit faster. 178, 10-yard split isn't terrible. And the 29 bench press reps, that's pretty good from him. But at his size, sub 310, I was expecting a little bit faster from him, but it's not terrible. And some of the drills I saw him in, I thought he looked good. Caleb Tiernan, he's moving inside. There's some issues here. 32.25-inch arms. I don't think he's going to stick at tackle at 6'8", 325. With that arm length, I think it's going to be tough for him to stay at tackle. But also at 6'8", it's going to be tough to move into guard. He's just kind of in an awkward position here. But look at how explosive he is. 35.5-foot vert. That is insane. That is insane for a 6'8" offensive lineman. Very, very explosive guy here. But it's just his measurables are very awkward with the height to arm length ratio. It's going to be awkward for him to move pretty much anywhere in the NFL. Jennings Dunker, I thought he looked good in the drills. Had a couple drills where I thought he looked a little bit iffy, but overall I thought he looked good. Nothing stand out here. I think this is about what we expected from the 40 and the 10-yard split. Good vert here and good size, 33.5-inch arms for someone that's playing on the interior. I think that's really good arm length for him. So overall, I think Jennings Dunker had a good day. Nothing special. Logan Jones, he ran the fastest 40 here. 10-yard split was slower than I was expecting. His arm length is not great. He is sub 31-inch arms. He's under 300 pounds, which that's why he's so speedy. But arm length isn't great, which is why he's at center. Good vertical jump here, and good 20-yard shuttle. Good 3-cone. Overall, I think he's just a super athlete, and I think he looks great. Keegan Trost, this is a guy I haven't looked at much. Arm length is okay. He only did the vert here, and I don't really have much to say about him. I haven't watched any tape on him. I was watching him during the drills. I think he had one where he slipped, we had a lot of guys slip at the combine, so I'm just blaming it on the turf, honestly. It's hard to say. Inez Cooper, guard out of Miami. This guy I like. I've watched some of his tape. I like what I see. A 6'6", 334 guard with 34-inch arms. He's got good size. He's got great size here. They're comping him to Osiris Torrance. Interesting. But this is a guy I like. The measurables look good. There's nothing else to say about him. Demetrius Crownover. This is a guy that I think he boosted his stock a little bit in terms of his measurables. 6'7", 320, 35, almost 35 and a half inch arms. They're really, really good arm length for him. At his size too, these are really good times. 5'14", 179. In the drills, he didn't look great. I will say that he did similar to Monroe Freeling. He slipped twice, and there was one drill where he just got, I don't even know if it was a footwork issue, but he was backpedaling and as soon as he hit the pad, he just immediately fell backwards, and I don't know really what happened there. But his drills didn't look great to me. But overall, I think the measurables did him a favor. It's just how he looked in the drills, maybe not so much. So hard to say what the combine performance will do for him. Drew Shelton, Penn State guy. His arm length looks really good. This is a guy that I was assuming would project inside. But with this arm length, I think he could stay at tackle. Basically 33 and a half inch arms, 6'5", 315. He's running a 5'16", 179 10-yard split. Not terrible, with like a little bit faster, but overall it's not too bad. But this is a guy I thought would move inside almost certainly, but I don't think he has to now. Jeremiah Wright, this is a guy I like. 6'5", 331, over 31 or 33 inch arms. This is a guy I like. Day 3 player, day 3 pick for sure. I think he needs a little bit of development, but I like him. I like him as a player, as a right guard. Not much else to say about him there. Alex Harkey, guard out of Oregon, 308, 6'6", sub 32 inch arms, but the hand size is good here for him. This is another guy I haven't looked too much into. I haven't watched too much of his tape, but what I've seen I do like. I didn't see much at the combine. I don't know if he did any of the drills, but I didn't see anything special out of him. Diego Pounds, another guy here that is, I was thinking at one point maybe he might move into guard, but almost 34 or 33 and 3/4 inch arms, 6'6", 325, and he ran a good 10-yard split here with a 177. So I think he looked pretty good at the combine, and he's going to stay at tackle most likely. Pat Coogan is a guy I really like at center. Arm length 31 inches. Not ideal, but it's not terrible. 6'5", 310. Overall, good measurables for a center. I think he's probably a 4th round guy at this point. Maybe a little bit. Maybe he falls a little bit later, but I think with the lack of talent in the later rounds, he probably goes 4th round, maybe even back end of the 3rd. Jude Bowery, this is a guy that I thought looked pretty bad on the drills. I was a bit disappointed. 6'5", 314, over 33 and a half inch arm, so he is sticking at tackle, and great hand size here. The vert is unbelievable. 10-yard split is tremendous at his size. I think 1 or 2 of the drills, though, he just looked awkward out there. And so I don't think he didn't have too many good reps on the drills, but the measurables overall, very good. Bo Stevens, this is a guy I like as a day 3 guard. I think he's he's a swing guard, but this was very disappointing for me. 6'5", 315, 31 inch arms, and he's running a 5.35 with a 182 10-yard split. He's lacking athleticism seriously. At his size, 5.35 is like abysmal. I think he is seriously lacking athleticism here, and you could see it in his jumps as well. Just nothing good here. I'm disappointed with his performance. I thought it could have been better. Jalen Farmer, he's someone that I think boosted his stock. Look at this, over 34 inch arms here, a 4.93 40-yard dash, 175 10-yard split. He was tremendous. I thought he absolutely boosted his stock, and his measurables look great as someone that is a guard, that will be playing guard at the NFL level. Matt Gulbin, don't know anything about him. I haven't watched any of his tape. Overall measurables are good, almost 32-inch arms, 6'4", 305. Can't say anything bad about his size there at center, but didn't notice anything about him. DJ Campbell, this is a guy I really like as maybe a fourth-round prospect. Developmental guy. I think he had a lot more hype coming into the year, and he just had a bit of a down year, but he looked good. Almost a 5 flat 40-yard dash. 1.76 is very good. The jumps aren't great, but the measurables are good. 6'3", 315, and over 34-inch arms as a right guard. So the measurables look good, and he has a lot of potential. I think he's absolutely a very raw prospect, but if he sits for a year or two, I think he could be quite good in the league. Parker Brailsford, we talked about him a bit. He was very fast, 1.7 flat, fastest 10-yard split of the day. Great 40, really good vertical and broad, really good broad, and 27 bench press reps. I thought he looked really good. At his size, 6'2", 290, you worry about the power that he's going to have at the NFL level, but this is a guy that's a day 3 pick for a reason. Now going down here, there's not too much more that I want to talk about. A lot of these are smaller school guys that we didn't see. Jake Slaughter, I thought Jake Slaughter looked good. A 5'1", 40, not great, but a 1.74 10-yard split is very good. I liked his vertical, and he has great measurables for a guy that's playing center. I thought he looked quite good in the drills. Markel Bell, we talked about him, just outstanding at his size. Braun looked good. Armaj Reed Adams did not. And then there are some guys down here that, I don't think there. I mean, Micah Morris is a guy that I've been looking at. I thought he had really good measurables here, over 33.5-inch arms, and he's going to be playing guard at the NFL level. 1.73 10-yard split is tremendous, and 29 bench press reps with his arm length. He boosted his stock absolutely at the combine. But a lot of these guys, guys that are probably going to be undrafted. Nobody here really popped out in the bottom part of this list here. Garrett DiGiorgio, I did mention I was a bit disappointed by his performance, but that is going to do it for today, guys. That is going to do it for the Combine. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for tuning in to these videos. Expect another video later today. I'm actually going to be doing something a little bit interesting. I'm going to be doing different mock draft simulators. I'm going to be auto simulating them with Seahawks drafts and ranking them or grading them and seeing how the AI did. And then tomorrow will be my weekly mock draft for the Seattle Seahawks. So stay tuned for both those videos. Thank you guys for tuning in. Later.